Hello, my name is Jamie and welcome to this week's tutorial. This week we're going to look at the second part of modelling this blob with arms and legs. Last week, as you can see, this is where we got up to. So we've got the main head in there, and we've done the mouth shape and put the nose in there as well. So this week we'll get the eyes done and then throw in some arms and legs and some ears on top. Maybe even do some teeth and tongue, just so that that's in there. So hopefully that should take about 20-25 minutes to get that done. So let's get straight into it. I'll just move this off to the side, and I'll start by just these vertices here. Just bring them back a bit and sort of shape these around a bit. I'll bring that one even further back, just to sort of start shaping the eye area. And then this one, I'll bring out a bit so that it's sort of a fairly smooth looking sort of ridge between the eyes. And then this vertice I'll bring in quite a bit as well. And then these I'll bring out on the Y, so that looks okay. So just sort of the general, there's going to be an eyeball in there. I'll bring that in a second. Just making sure we've sort of got the right sort of shape. Just move these around a bit so they're a bit more evenly spaced. So that looks okay for now. So just tab into object mode, and to add in the eyeball I'm going to go Shift S, cursor to center, just so that the cursor is in the center of the world. Shift A, add in a UV sphere. We don't need many segments on it at all. And then tab into edit mode for the sphere. I'm going to do and scale it down and just bring it into position in the eye, and make sure it's sort of about the size of the eye socket that we've built. So the edges of the eye socket's just sort of coming around there, and so it's just a bit bigger than that, so it's not going to look weird or anything. And then bring it out, and it's sort of a personal preference at this point. How far out do you want the eyeball to be sticking? That looks about good to me. Maybe bring it back a little bit more. So that'll be about the position of the eyeball. And then, because we created the actual object in the center of the world and then moved the mesh in edit mode, we can just quickly throw in a mirror modifier. We've got an eye on either side of the head, and then I'll just go into side view, hit R and hold down Control and rotate it 90 degrees. So now we've got the front of the eye looking like that. And what I might even do, select those and extrude that in a bit. That just sort of gives you makes it sort of look more like an eye, which is especially helpful for when you're modelling. And I'll throw in a subsurf and make it smooth and stuff as well. So we've got a couple of eyeballs, and then just this inside edge, I'll bring it in so that it's more fitted to the socket, and just start bringing these edges in, all these vertices, and get them to more or less hug the eyeball. You can also see the subsurf mesh Sort of, that's the point, but that's where the actual subsurface mesh comes out to there. You can see it faintly in edit mode, so you can just sort of move it there. So this vertex doesn't have to be actually touching the eyeball for the subsurface mesh to be doing so. So now we got that. I'll just extrude, and then right click and bring that out a bit so we can start to define the eyelid. So the corner is generally sort of further back, like that. And of course these are going to need to come up a bit, and these ones definitely need to come in, and then just sort of adjust everything else to sort of make it fit. And you can see the eyeball mesh sticking through the actual character mesh, so you can sort of see where things need to be moved. What I'm thinking is I'm going to need another edge loop just sort of between everything to help bring it out, especially at the top. So I'll just bring in an edge loop there and start to bring everything up. That looks a bit better. That needs to go down a bit, and then so we got that starting to look okay there. Still intersecting a bit, so just bring that up there, and bring that out there. Just a little bit up there. So it's got those little eyelids going over him now. It's sort of looking a bit out of shape along there, so I'll bring that up, just sort of even out the shape. Maybe even bring that in a bit, and then bring that out a bit. Yep, that looks okay. And then I'll just do another extrude and right click to cancel the movement. I'm going to scale it down in the Z just a little bit, and then bring it back just a bit, and then I'll extrude again and bring that all the way back, just so that there's eyelid. So they're not perfect, humanly anatomically correct eyelids or eyeballs, but they'll do the job for this little creature. So just sort of even a few things out there. Could probably do with adding an edge sort of in here and then another one across, but I won't do that for now. Start by doing some legs, I think. I'll just start by selecting, these edges here. I'll just bring these ones up a bit. So just select these vertices. So these faces here, got those selected. Gonna extrude and then right click to cancel the movement, as I don't want to move them yet. I'm just going to scale that down a bit, maybe a bit in the Y as well. And what I want to do is create a circle, and you can eyeball it if you want. What I like to do sort of. So, for the sake of time, that sort of eyeballing's about right. And then I can just sort of go and select everything and scale it along the Z, and just hit S then Z a few times and scale it through, and that'll just flatten that out, so you got a nice flat plane to work from. And if I go into the top view, you can see this needs to come out a bit more. What I like to do, you can delete that inside vertex, you're not going to need it, is add a circle as a separate object here, and then move the vertices down to 8, scale that down, and you can trace that circle and get a perfect circle with these edges, or with these vertices, but I'm not going to do that right now just for the sake of time. So we've got the beginning of the leg there. I'm just going to bring that down and start extruding. Didn't mean to do that. Here we go. So make sure that's about straight. And he doesn't have very long legs. They are fairly thin, so I'll thin them down a bit. And then he's got feet. And the feet are they're quite chunky feet, so I'll have that like that. And then I will actually repair this. Now, a quick trick, if you've got an edge like this and you need to get a vertice on that point, you can just go Control R to insert an edge loop and put the mouse on that edge and then click, and it creates an edge loop along that one edge, so you get a single vertice that you can then join up to and fill in. So that's quite useful. Then I will, just for the face select those 4 sort of front facing faces, and in the side view extrude and bring it out. And he's got quite long feet, and I will bring in an edge loop maybe about halfway. Of course there'll need to be an edge loop halfway of his leg for the knee, and I'll make that into a deformable zone in a second. Just go back to vertex mode, start shaping the feet as to how I want them to be shaped, sort of into feet shape. Bring those down. It's generally a good idea to have an edge loop sort of near the bottom. It doesn't have to be perfectly on the bottom, just a bit rounded, but sort of flattens everything out on the bottom. And the way his feet are, I'll just hit O to go into proportional edit mode, and I'm going to scale in the X a bit, so they're sort of a bit wider, and this transformation with the proportional edit sort of helps keep things smooth. So it's a pair of feet. Just turn off proportional edit with O, and yeah, we'll add in a knee now. So to do a knee joint, so that it deforms in animation, it's fairly simple. Just add in an edge loop either side of that middle one, and then select these 3 vertices at the back and merge them, and then do that several times. Merge those, so that's just Alt M and then at center, and I'll do the next 2 as well, so that one and then that one. And so we've got this sort of knee jointy bit going on. We'll use this same technique for the elbow, and just hit Alt J with that selected to get rid of those triangles. And I'll just turn off proportional edit, shape this into a bit more of a square, I'll bring that out a bit. And maybe scale those out a bit more. Scale those up. Scale those up. So he's got a bit of a knee going on, and that will preserve the sort of shape of the leg as the leg is bending. It's a good idea to also have an edge loop along the actual leg at a couple of points, just for when it's bending. You're going to want some actual geometry within there. And you can also, if you feel like it, adding in some sort of muscle shapes going on there. So he's got little legs and little knees. And just sort of massage these into shape to sort of get the shape that you want. That looks good enough for me. We'll just quickly do the arms. I'm looking. These are going to be sort of at about the height of the bottom of his eyes. So if I select here and I'll do an extrude, and again right click to cancel the transformation, and with that selected, make it into a sort of circle shape. This time it doesn't have to be perfect at this point, because this is actually just going to be the shoulder joint, so it doesn't need to be a perfect circle. So I'll just select those vertices again, bring them out a bit, and then do an extrude and just allow it to come out along the normal. And I'm going to rotate this like this and bring all these edges up, and that's the shoulder along there, and then this is where the arm's actually going to come out. So you may want some more points along there. I'll just delete that so I can sort of see the shape of the end of it. So we got that there. So generally you want that to be more closer to a circle. But again, just for the sake of time, I'm not going to fuss about it too much. And imperfection is a good thing when you're doing organics. That sort of helps make things more believable. So don't be too fussed about getting everything perfect. This isn't architectural modelling or anything. It doesn't have to follow specific numbers or anything. So we've got that little shoulder joint in there, and then just right click. Actually that's looking a bit pointy down the bottom. So I'll right click to select the circle, and then you can extrude that. That looks okay. He's got fairly long arms, so I'll bring them out there and just straighten that up a bit. And then I'll create an edge loop for the elbow. You can use exactly the same technique as I showed you down there to create an elbow joint. I'll just scale this down a bit and add in an edge loop. Scale them up. Each time. That looks okay. And then finally we'll just do the hands and the ears, and we should be complete. So to do the hands, I'm going to again rejoin this end, or recap it. So using Control R along that edge, and select everything, and F, and it fills in everything. Now I'm going to extrude that sort of along the normal. I want the hand to be about that long. I'm going to add an edge loop in there to sort of help with the hand shape and keeping it preserved. And then what I want to do, see if we can, yeah, so with all that selected, it's just not very accurate actually, I won't do that. So I'm going to go into view, let's see if I can, here we go. So with view and then just looking straight down the arm, I'm going to scale down in the Y a bit to flatten out the hand. And then, that was accidental H, G to move that up. And you can, if you want, model the arms at sort of in a T pose. I prefer to generally model like this, just sort of what I'm used to. And then I know he's got 3 fingers on either hand, so I'll stick with that, and that should be fairly easy to do. I'll just keep that and turn that back to local. Start to bring these out a bit. Bring that back. So I'm going to have a finger coming off here, I'm going to have a finger coming off here, and have the thumb coming off here. Okay, so I'll select these here, extrude, right click, and scale it down a bit, and sort of shape that so it's a bit more of a finger shape, and extrude that out along the normal. That's probably a little bit too long, so about there, and I'll just have the one joint in the middle. I'll just line the view so this is fairly straight and I can see what I'm doing. And I'll just bring that down or back, bring that up a bit, sort of come up with a bit more of a finger shape. Bring in another edge loop there and just make it a bit fleshy. Another edge loop here, just make it a bit fleshy, and maybe even bring that one in to amplify that look a bit. That's looking quite chunky to me, so it's a bit hard when you're getting down to this level. One thing I do have is just in the user panel, I believe it's under interface, rotate around selection. So when you're sort of getting lost, you can just sort of select a vertex in it, because I know I need to be looking at this finger. So it's just a quick useful thing. Select all of that, and I'll just do Control Plus to select that final loop, and I will do an Alt S, I think. That sort of keeps the shape but brings the volume down, and I may just want to select that portion of the finger and scale it out a bit. Yeah, that'll do. And I don't want that little thing going on in there. So just do that. And then it's fairly easy to just duplicate this finger. Move it into place and stuff, so I'll quickly do that. So Control Plus, I'll make sure mouse is in the window. Control Plus a few times, and then with that sort of like that, duplicate that there, and then duplicate that, and rotate it and put it there. And then just delete the edge in here and create these edges along like that. You may need to move things around. Yeah, I won't go in and do all that because it's just tedious stuff there. I'll just quickly model the ears. So they're sort of just past, sort of behind the middle of the head. So I'm thinking this area here will be good for that. So I got that selected. Then E and right click. Scale in along the Y a bit. So we've got all that, and then I'll just quickly select those two faces, extrude them out, bring them forwards a bit. Put these little ears there, scale that out a bit, and then select these four faces, extrude, right click, scale, and extrude them in a bit. So a little bit of box modelling there, and then depending on your personal preference, I'm going to bring these out, bring that down a bit, just so there's a bit of a smoother transition into the ear. So yeah, that pretty much covers modelling this little guy. If you spend a bit more time, I think that was the better one. I was just playing with the hair on that, I'll get rid of that. So yeah, spend a bit more time, make things sort of a bit nicer. And so this one all in all is probably about an hour's work, whereas in the tutorial we'll only spend about 45 minutes, so just that bit of extra time. Spend it polishing, adjust any proportions you want. I did extrude in little nostrils as well, that's fairly simple. And for this one I did have more of a human shape for the mouth, which I liked. And those teeth, that's just a few polygons. It's just a box I extruded along to match the shape of the mouth, and there's just an edge at the top to reinforce that. But other than that, this is something you should end up with after maybe hour and a half's work. So good luck and have fun.